Okay, over the years I've been mixing, mastering, producing, mentoring, one-to-one tuition, and one thing I've noticed a lot of is kick drums. People come with huge kick drums, small kick drums, no weight in the kick drums, too much top end or badly processed or over processed. And I was thinking, what would you guys get out of this course mostly? How would I sort of get this across to you, and the best ways that'll help you out. So what I've done is I'm going to show you like how I work with my kicks. I don't know if you've seen the other video with the kick 2. That's a separate thing entirely. That's if I'm creating kicks. This is like how I would start a track. Well, I wouldn't necessarily start with a kick, but how I would, if I was to just go, right, let's get a beat down, let's go, let's get something going. This is how I would do it. And I feel like this is an important area, especially in dance music, electronic music, because it's the most fundamental part. It's usually the loudest part in your mix as well. So so I just want to jump in and show you how I do mine. So what I've done is I've just used the same project as earlier. I've got it open, so I've got my kick drums in there, my 4/4. And then what I sometimes do is instead of going over to the preview browser and then going through the loops of, I know what these kicks are because I've created these ones in the drums. This is my Loop Master sample pack. There's all the kick drums in there, they're in a loop, or there's my 808 analog which I recorded in. It took me a while, and funny story, I did that and then I forgot to do the clap, so I processed it all, got it all in, put it all away, and then I forgot to do the clap, so then I had to dig it back out and throw it back in. But so there's bass drums in there. From that, there's so there is ways you can just do it, but this is I'll show you exactly like how I would do it. If I just go to if I go over to here, I open up a battery, which is Native Instruments. You can do this with any any sampler. I used to use the ESX24, but that thing drove me crazy, and now they've ditched it and they've got the new multi-sampler and everything in there, and the quick sampler in Logic there. They're cool, so you can do it that way as well. And they've also got the drum machines in there, and but I'm still learning this new Logic update, the 10.6.1, so I tend to just go to what I really know and what I really like. And one of the things is this: if you haven't got this, by all means do it by the other way. I'll just show you how to do it if you didn't know how. So you would go to this and go on the instruments, and then go to sampler, multi-sample. You can do it in this one, so you could create there, and then what it does is it brings up a mapping zone. Then it's a similar thing where you can map all your drums over, I think, individual drum hits. So if I go to here and go to my kicks, let me just select these. That made me jump. Right. Then you can just put them in like that. So it's usually around C3, like that, and then the import, and then there should be across your keys. And it goes across, and then if you've got it on there, what you can do is copy it down, solo it, just listen to that. And then you can move this up and down. It says, I know why, because I turned the little MIDI out there. So if I do that now, and you can see that the area's changing, and then you can go into all your turn the areas off. So if I went to mapping, and then if you went into your zone, then you can affect everything. You can put a fade on it, you can make it shorter, so if you didn't want the kick as long, you can do some really clever, fancy things with that. But it's similar sort of thing. I just wanted to show you the Logic one if you're a Logic user, but I'm just going to whip back into this one. I'll probably start using the Logic one a lot more, because there's a few things in the Native Instruments one that bugs me a little bit, because saving the sounds, and if you move the sounds and saving them as like different, it's just a different thing as well. If I open a project or send it to someone else, they might not have this. So similar principle, drag all my kicks in there. It might be those kicks, it might be the kicks from Native Instruments Complete. I've got loads in there, so you can go through the samples, drums, you can go to kicks like that, then choose, you can search. So if I wanted analog, digital, so say, I don't know, there's hundreds in here, there's a lot. But you know, I'm sure you've got so many kicks, because you know you'll have your favourite bank of kicks. That's one thing as well. I always try and have my own sort of go-to kicks, because a lot of the tracks I've played out in the club and I'm like, wow, that track really stands out. I'm like, that track of mine had a great kick in it, and it worked really well with that bass and things like that. And after a while you think, well, why did that kick work better than the other ones? So that's why I kind of gravitate towards the kicks I've used before. And you know, it changes, depends on what I'm making and what styles and things like that. But so what I would do is I'd just put in the kicks there, and then I could easily just open my MIDI by Command and A, and then what I'll do is I just press, if I hold Alt or Option and then press up and down like this, it should, let me see where it'll be down at C1 probably, C2, there we go. So yeah, if you hold Command and Shift, it'll jump a full octave. Watch, I'll show you in here, Command A, that's a full octave. But if you just hold Option or Alt and press up, while they're selected, it'll just go through. So what I can do now is I would go to, say, let me find drums, top loop, just find one of these. Like that one. Drag that in, just into there, the audio file underneath. That's just to give me a feel of how it's going to sound. I'll just turn that down a bit, because it's it'll take my eardrums off. So and then what I can do is I can then, I might even do this at the end of the track. If I've finished the track and I feel like the kick's not quite there, I can do this. So what I'll do is, and then I'll go through my kick drums and see which one I really like. Let's have a look. I'll just leave that one there. That's cool. Another thing I do sometimes is, what I'll do is I'll make a piece of MIDI and I'll just audition it like this. So it'll go, if I'm unsure, like that, and then I'll duplicate it like that. Then I'll join. So sorry, that was a bit fast. I'll do it again. So what I'll do is just hold down Alt and click it and drag it across, and then let go of the left mouse button, and it duplicates it. Highlight both, join, and then what I would do is I would turn that off so it doesn't play. Just bring this, and then just bring this down here like that. And I sometimes set this up on a template. If I've got a fast turnaround and I need something, I'll just maybe open this MIDI. I mean, it doesn't take long to make, so I'll make it now. But I used to have this going all the way across every kick drum, and then now I can just listen to all those kick drums and then see, and then I can like do a blind test, close my eyes maybe, and then see which kick drum really stood out. Similar to what I was doing pressing up and down, but sometimes it's nice to do this and pick one or two and filter it down to the ones you really like. And so then now what I would do is I would make sure the volume of that is full. I mean, you can adjust it. So my favorite one was the first one I picked. So if I go into the settings within here, I can look at these, and if I make sure that the kick's selected like that, then we can do a lot of changes. I could change the pitch to tune it if I wanted. One thing that I would probably I've started to use is a plugin called Mixed in Key Studio Edition. So I use this sometimes, and it's quite handy for the keys to find out, like, it's not always accurate because of the overtones of a sound, but sometimes it's it's great. You know, on an overall track you can have Camelot or Sharp or flat, and then I also use the Logic meter, so the tuner, and that sometimes helps, especially if you're tuning like individual instruments. That you can see, like on the notes on this one, it's a little bit more. It shows you a lot more information than the built-in Logic one, and it's not expensive, but it is great for, like, if if you get a remix, say. So I know it's between B and A minor. It's around those areas, A and B minor, which is useful. So then if I wanted to tune it, I could tune it up. Or that's give it a lot of weight. You'll notice I'll look up there on the analyzer to see where it's at. It's at like 42, which is probably going to be F, or yeah, which is saying it's E or F minor. Another way I do that is I use, I'll go into metering in another video, but another way I do that is look at, I might use like the Pro Q3 on here. Let's take this off. So you can see that the frequencies are higher up. You can see the peaks in there. So that also helps as well if you're looking for a certain frequency. But yeah, these are the little things to look out for. I don't necessarily always do it. I think go by ear if it sounds good and it is good. You know, yeah, like I say, you can always change it at the end. But so inside the inside here, it's just a lot easier. If I wanted to make that kick shorter, like I showed you in the other, or if I wanted to take some of the low end out so it doesn't take up all the information on my processing. You know, they might have too much weight in the low end, so I can take some of that out around here. Top end. Also in here, this has the sampler, so you can have a vintage mode, so like SP1200, so it gives it that nice crunchy sort of sample sound. And then you've got to make sure you click on it, otherwise it won't do anything. So yeah, click on that one and then bring that up a bit. So, and then change that to vintage SP1200. And you can hear it just clicking a little bit. So what I would do is you can move this and get it bang on there, so you can make it shorter. So yeah, so that's kind of like how I would start out, and then instantly what I would do after that is make sure that's at 0. I would take the limiter off in the Pro Q, and then I would just right click and then go to bounce in place. I mean, I wouldn't do all of them, but you can just do them all and then you've got them and then chop them up. But once that's solid, that's how I would do it. I would get a solid kick. I would just hit H and that'll hide that channel. I can mute those channels as well. I'm not going to need them now anymore. And then hit H again to bring it back. So in the kit, you've got the audio there. Again, with your fade tool, like I showed at the beginning, I would just make a fade just so there's no clicking on the 0 baseline on that one. And then there we go. You've got your kick drum started. So one thing that I would do is, if now I've got my kick drum there, I would make sure it's all sounding right and there's no no dodgy ones that like the end one might have not been hitting right, or the MIDI might have been wrong or anything. So just I have a visual look at that. So one thing I do quite a lot of is I duplicate the kick drum down, and this is quite important to me because if I was to do like doubles or anything, I would always copy something down like that, copy the audio down, create that into one, and then maybe put this at say the end of a third. I'll just do it there so you can just zoom in. So, and then what I would do with this is I'd just bring it down in the mix so it's just underneath. But the way of doing it, the reason I've rendered it down and bounced it, committed it to audio, is because it leaves eliminates the temptation of like wanting to start twiddling and EQing and messing around with it too much inside your sampler. So but that was just a way of finding your kick drum and then getting it down. There is, you could have just dragged it in and it's a lot easier. You can do that. But it's just, I found that that's a good way of, if you were replacing your kick, how to do it. So on this one, what I would do is I would make sure that one doesn't overlap, and then I would also take away some of the I would make this one sound different, but it'll still be cohesive with the sound because of the nature of the sound. So what I would do is probably top and tail it by using an EQ just to take it out. But what this would do, would add a bit more groove to you, or a bit more of a tone. You know, it might not necessarily be there, but you can hear it. So maybe if I did that and not take as much low end out. And then what I do, the reason I do it on another channel is because you've got more control. So like say over here, what I might do is duplicate that over and then have a bit more of like a double on this one. So I'd bring that there like that, and then and this sort of thing really just adds a little bit of a groove to it as well. So if you listen to a lot of electronic music, there's sometimes just these little kicks underneath giving you a groove, but and then there might just be a sub bass line under it all, just not in the mid-range doing a lot. It'll just be underneath, and you get the grooves out of this. So what I'm going to do is just copy that over, a similar sort of thing, just to keep it maybe maybe put a double kick like I did at the end there. But another thing what I tend to do is, which is pretty cool, is have like I'll copy 4 across here, and then what I'll do is I'll join them by hitting join, and then on that part I'll just make it roll up like that. Maybe 4, maybe 6. We'll just see, and then let's have a listen. So, and then what happens is you start building up this like groove within the drums. Another thing to be mindful of is if you're doing these ones, go up to your, you can either do it on the side, on here. Let me get rid of that quick help. You can either do it on, when I think you have to flex and follow. So if you turn that on, then what that does is flex and follow means that it'll all be flex time to the grid. So then now you can give it some swing if you wanted. So my go-to is 116 swing C, which is like, I think it's 58% as well. So you can either do it on that where you press that and it'll snap to the groove, or you can go into there's a list over here of here, and then you can change this into 1C. Or if I was to put something crazy on like a 1/8 triplet, you'll see it move. So now if I was to play that, it just goes crazy. But yeah, the 116C, it doesn't look like it does a lot, but when you've got a lot of percussion going, everything's going together. If I zoom right in as well, you'll find that it's probably just moved a slight bit. Oh no, they're actually on, but if I was to do that and then hit it, you can see that will still work because it's in the groove. Oh no, it's on a triplet, sorry. That would help. 16. So if I was to put that somewhere there and press 16, there we go. Let's try that. Yeah, so that would be on, and then. But it just makes sure, especially if you've got a lot of percussion going on, you can put swing on your percussion by doing it the same way. If I was to do that, follow tempo, it's on here, just to go up to there, and that's flex time. And then I could put it into rhythmic. And then what it does is it analyzes it, it dices it up, and then that gives you the options to put the 16C swing on, and you'll see how it just moves, and we'll play the difference between the two. It's this second half here, this one, I'll colour it. The second one there, the purple one, it's just a little bit not working with the groove together. It's not got that swing, so you can see in the white areas where it's got that going on. And again, I'm just showing you on this loop because this is what I would do with some of the drums. But the kick drum thing's really cool because when you do compress it later on in the track and you've got everything working together, you make sure these aren't overlapping. you can see that they're not, you know, they're not going over into the next and stuff. It really helps the groove. And you can hear by the it's not the velocity, but the note levels there. I mean, so like that's quite tame. But sometimes what I would do is I would copy that across, and then I would do like maybe a loop. So if you get that, and then, oops, no, that's flexing it. But if I go to zoom in more, you see when it gets the like recycle sign somewhere here. If I've got to zoom right in. When it's when it's flexing, it doesn't like to do it as much. Say it likes, but say if you did have flex on over here and you wanted it to do that, the best thing to do would probably just to hit the letter L, and it loops. Once it's selected, it loops that region. And then my favorite tool, the marquee, just slice that off and then put that there. So what I would do is I would make that, and then I would make sure that the end fades out so that it doesn't have a click on it over here, or use the fade out tool on that part. And then I would just render that to audio by right click on it, and you can press Control and L, and it'll make it into real copies. So then it's not a loop anymore. And then I would join that audio, create a new file, and then I would fade that in using the fade tool, and just things like this just add to the sort of groove, and they add to the they kind of add character to the track rather than just being a 4/4 kick. So, and again, I'd probably play around with that, probably not have it as long, have it to there, and then just have it maybe side chained, or just trying to get that base layer of the kicks underneath the whole track working together. And they work really well because the tones are together, and you might, when it's low in the mix, you might not hear it, but it just adds to that groove. And you might replace it out. You might want, you might put in a bass note there or something. But it's really cool to just play around. My track Blocker, which is it's probably my most played track on Spotify actually. That I did by accident by doing this. So what I did was I had, if you ever listen to it, now I've mentioned it, it had 4 kicks at the beginning. So and I didn't mean to do it. I just did something like this, and then it set off like that. And that groove just helped with the bass line as it. But when I looked at it, I thought, oh, I've done it by mistake. So it's quite cool. You can get some good stuff going on with this. So yeah, that's basically my kicks. Later on, I'll show you how I process them more. Just when I go into the processing and everything on the mixing side of things. Just wanted to let you know these videos are absolutely free. It's a 5-hour tutorial series, and that was one of the parts. So thanks for watching. If you would like to join the journey, subscribe. I've also got a playlist where I travel the world, and I also document it. I do vlogs, and the weird and wonderful world of a touring artist, the highs and lows and everything like that. So if you want to see that as well, I'll put a link below. But also the educational stuff, the mixing and mastering services are also in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Your subscription means a lot to me, and keep creative, keep making the tunes, keep pushing on, support each other. Much love. GAWP out.